So we've got Chrissy G here who's joined our podcast.
How
Usually
are you,
she's
mate?
Good
how
mate,
you
good
doing?
mate. How are you, mate?
Good, good. Look, there's usually me and Docky. We've got like a special guest today, Chrissy G. Instead of getting Chrissy to, instead of introducing him, we'll get Chrissy to maybe say two things that everybody knows about you, and two things maybe people don't, and only close friends might know.
Fuck, that's a good question. I think obviously first thing would be that I'm an investor. I think everyone would
Oi!
know that by
Hey!
now. Something I've shared a lot. So that's the first thing. Second thing, probably, I'm a good guy. Nah, I don't know. Second thing would be like, I work in disability care currently.
Yeah.
Um, that's the second thing. Two things that people don't know about me. I used to do music, and I'm a let's just say I'm a college dropout, a university dropout.
Hey.
About that.
No, those are two good things. I think when I first found out you did music, I was pretty like a little like that kind of piqued my interest about you because it's just
Yeah.
like a bit different to a lot of the other guys. I don't think anybody else in our like immediate group like plays music. So
Sam actually did a bit of music as well, bit of
oh,
rapping.
A bit of rapping. It's
Yeah.
actually Marky. Half the boys do. Like Limper's making our music track. And isn't Sam a drummer as well? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Sam's a drummer. Yeah, Rainer. Yeah, Limp is crazy too. He's
mm.
crazy. We did a session one time and he was just going ham, and he made it like a song in like 10 minutes. It was crazy.
I think an interesting like first point is like, well, why didn't you chase that dream of music a little bit more?
That's a good question, man. So that was around the time that I started investing as well. So this is like I had dropped uni, I was kind of lost, and music was pretty much the only thing I kind of knew. And at that time, I was doing investing as well. And Dylan was mentoring me during that time, and he kind of brought up. I kind of realized like throughout that journey that like if I were to be self aware, that I probably won't make a good living in music compared to what I can make in investing.
Hmm.
But that's why I chased the investing instead.
So some self
And
awareness.
it was pretty much self awareness. Like I'm definitely not going to be like that amazing musician. I'm not going to be the fucking weekend. So I might as well like cover myself and focus on the money instead. And it worked out really well for me. I'm really enjoying the investing, and I'm enjoying being part of like the Hardcore Headstart community as well with you boys. So it's worked out really well for me.
I think Marky brought up a great point, like literally just before we started. He's like, let's provide context for the audience as like where you are now.
Yeah.
And Doc just went straight into pass, so that's my bad.
That's all right, man. Yeah, no, it's a good question because like not a lot of people know, especially a lot of my friends, like they probably think I just went through like a little phase, and that's what it was. It was just like it was a little moment of self awareness for me that I think everyone should know about.
Mm.
Mm. I think just building on that, like they say you should find something, either you can go down the route of something you love and
Yeah.
you're passionate about, or you can go down the route of being like choosing something you're really good at, right? And often,
Yeah.
they're not the same things because you can be really passionate about music, but go, that's probably not going to make me money straight away, but investing potentially can. So
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like where you maybe choose something can be at like the intersect of something you're passionate about and good at, and
Yeah.
not kind of like just good at but not make you money,
Yeah.
or make you money but make you miserable like accounting or
Mm.
something.
And there's another thing I realized, like I'm fucking young. Like I'm not supposed to know what my passion is.
Yeah.
So I might as well like do investing, set myself up in the future, and then when I'm comfortable, then I can decide what my passion is
Yeah.
because I'll have like known a lot more about the world.
Some
Right
of the
now, I'm
best
not
things
gonna.
about investing, right? Investing now gives you that, once you get to a certain point, that passive income then gives you your freedom and your time back, which allows
Yeah,
you to find those extra passions or, you know, if you already know that music is a passion, it allows you to sink more time into that to either progress or just really get better because you enjoy it, or just do it more.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Just getting your time back doesn't mean you have to use your time to do other things. Sometimes it's just more time to do what you really do enjoy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what we're all about.
How old are you this year, Chrissy?
I'm 23 this year, man. 23 in
23.
March. Yeah.
What's been what's at the front of your mind in terms of like focus and priorities at the moment?
Right now, it's mainly just working. It's still working, and I just finished the course with through Hardcore Headstart, like that Dylan was giving, and then yeah.
Do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell us like a little bit more about that course and like what it's about and what you've learned from it?
Yeah, 100%, man. It's just a swing trading course that Dylan provides, and he goes over 4 months. It's like one-on-one.
Yeah.
So depending on where we're at as an individual, he goes through it like that. And the course it just goes through like the whole swing trading strategy.
Yeah.
By the end of it, like I think all of us, it's easy to say that all of us were successful at the end of it, like all of us 8 boys. And yeah, it's.
I think I've seen you post like a lot of like trading setups and like analysis that you've learned off the back of the course. I imagine.
Yeah.
What was kind of like what was your, because had you looked into investing before you met Dylan, like or before you went through the course, or did you have like an idea of how to invest?
I had investing knowledge, so I had that investing base, but I didn't really know much about trading.
Yeah,
I would say, but I had that investing base, so like I knew pretty much like everything about Rich Dad Poor Dad. So like invest for the long term, invest in assets. Yeah.
How did I'm interested to get your take on it, because I definitely found like a lot of value in Dylan's sort of thoughts on investing and trading and his style.
Yeah.
What was there anything that sort of surprised you in terms of like you didn't sort of expect to kind of, you know, sort of like I suppose like for me, I was always under the impression that you buy stocks when they're cheap and then you sell them when they're high, right? But Dylan sort of flipped that idea on its head and kind of understand that. That was one thing that stood out for me. Was there something like that sort of stood out for you, like when you went through the course?
To be honest, like that was one thing that stood out to me, like that buying at all-time highs. Other than that, like nothing really like stood out to me like, whoa, because like he explained it so well that like it made sense. So yeah, nothing really like got me by surprise, but yeah, definitely the all-time high strategy did kind of get me. I was like, what? You sure about that?
So you finishing off obviously the trading course, right? Like that took the previous 4 months, but you've been with Hardcore Headstart developing for years now, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have, because we've lived together for longer than that, and I know what you come up. So it's like, I think it'd be good to kind of create the story. I'm not sure if you're comfortable with this, Marky, of like creating the story of like how you actually came to then starting the trading course, because that's kind of really specific and really in depth, and it needs a lot of work previous to that to even be ready for the trading course.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like starting way back, how did you first come in contact with Dylan, and, you know, further extrapolating out Hardcore Headstart's kind of lifestyle?
I think you'd know this, Daniel. We all met at Nando's.
Hey, but I'm trying to make it for the podcast here, G. Well, it's like
no, but yeah, we all met at Nando's. I was a young little stunner back then. Stunner, but also a dumb person. I was about to swear, but I'm not sure if it's family.
You can do whatever you want, G. We don't really mind, bro.
Yeah, I was a bit of a dumb person, but a dumb kid, I'd say. And you know, I think you'd know, like at Nando's, I was really slow. I was like, I didn't do anything right. And then I came across, like, I think a few years into Nando's, like one year into Nando's, Dylan started telling me about like Hardcore Headstart. and like he started telling me about investing in Bitcoin. And back then it was like, I think it was like $200 for like one Bitcoin. And initially I was like, bro, this is a scam. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, you're working at Nando's. Who the fuck are you? But
Yeah.
that was my initial reaction. And then he started talking to me more about it. And then I could see like he was super passionate about it. He was so interested in it. So I was like,
Does it kind of feel like a sports bet tip when someone goes, "Oh yeah, you should like put this"?
well, yeah. I mean, I was young as well, so like, by my whole environment was like, oh yeah, don't like invest into this, or because like my family thinks everything's a scam. So I was young and pretty stupid. So like yeah, and then eventually he started telling me about like like the Bitcoin and everything he wanted to do. And then do you remember that first course that we did with him, Doc?
Yeah, the 3-day.
The 3-day course, yeah.
It was the original Hardcore Headstart mentee program, or not the mentee program, just the course kind of thing. Is where Hardcore Headstart originated. We used to do a 3-day, 10-hour-a-day course. It was really intense. It was based on similar things to what we use now, but obviously they're more refined because we've got more experience. Back then it was, heavily revolved around investing and, a lot of personal development work as well. So
yeah, that's the one. So that was like a 3-day course, and by that time I had got to know Dylan really well. I got to know you, Daniel, really well, and we all became like pretty close. And that's around the time that I started reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad, started watching like a ton of Gary Vee. And
wait, how old are you? Were you like 17, 16?
Yeah, I was probably like 18, I think. Yeah, 17, 18, I think.
Yeah.
Roughly. Actually, yeah, probably 16, 17.
Far out.
Yeah, so we're super young.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, ever since that, I just started, I eventually moved my job from Nando's to disability care. And disability care, I was actually making like a good amount of money. So I just started
big bucks.
I just started working my ass off at disability care, working like 60 to 70 hours a week, and just pumping whatever I could into crypto at that time.
Hey, Marky,
at that time we didn't have like eToro or anything, so we're just doing everything with crypto.
Marky, I'm not sure if you know this, but G, I remember this really, really vividly. This story that Dylan used to tell me, and it's essentially G went from like as close to a bum as possible, like just not very motivated to do anything. When he was at Nando's, dude, slowest rap maker all my days.
Really?
Used to frustrate me, bro. But then, right, as he started listening to Dylan, and I remember this conversation, that G and Dylan had was, hey man, you got to start working hard, right? You got to start actually putting in the effort. If what you say you want, eventually in the end of your life, you actually need to, put the action forth. Right, and I'm pretty sure the next week, G, you can attest to this, I'm pretty sure you went and started doing 50, 60 hours work a week. And,
yeah, man.
At that time, we at that time, like it was a 1-week change. It was just a flip in his psychology, just decided I'm going for it. We thought, there's no way he's going to keep this up, but he actually continued to keep it up. And then he did more work on top of that as time went on. So he continued to increase his output. And dude, wow, it's crazy. It's like for me, like that's when that conversation's when I was like, all right, G's in, like G's really finding his way here, and it's like he decided, yes, this lifestyle is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like to be fair as well, like it was the years before that as well, where like Dylan was like planting the seeds in my mind of investing. Eventually, like one day, it just made sense. Like it didn't make sense for a while, but then just one day it made sense, and then I was like, "Fuck, I got to work hard."
Yeah. So let's extrapolate the story. So far we've got you were like 17, 18 at Nando's. You met Dylan through there, started talking about Bitcoin, learning a little bit more about personal development in general, and then somewhere that conversation had when you flipped. Was the bike ride previous to that conversation or after that conversation?
Yeah, bike ride was like Yeah, bike ride. It was during the bike ride time. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Like just before the bike ride. Yeah.
Do you want to explain what you guys were doing with the bike rides and shit?
Yeah, sure, man. So during the bike ride, Dylan was just like whatever doubts I had or whatever questions I had, like I'll just pretty much tell Dylan, like during the bike ride, and it would be kind of like it's like an active meeting, pretty much. So we'd both be active, we'd be like thinking straight, and also the bike ride was like I think Dylan had recognized by then, like I didn't really have much drive, I didn't really have much motivation. So the bike ride was definitely like like we set these goals, like kilometer goals, and as we reach those, like I'll become more motivated. Eventually we did like a fucking 100K bike ride from
Oh,
here
yeah.
to the city and back and shit.
Dude, tell the story. I remember. Tell the story of like when you first started bike riding, like how far you thought you'd get.
Oh man, I can't remember.
Oh,
I
I'll tell it
genuinely
for you then. Don't worry about it. Dude, I remember G thought he could go. Was it like you got asked a question, how far can you go? And you're like, oh, I can only probably ride for like 30 mins or something. Like, that's it. That's all I can do. Right. And then that day they broke that record, which was like 30 mins to us may not seem like a large bike ride, but when you're doing nothing, you know, it's kind of like a representation of where your standards or where your belief in yourself is at that point.
yeah.
Right? If you can only believe you can do 30 mins, you then break that, it kind of starts expanding your mind for what's really possible.
Mm.
Right? And that's what I believe Dylan was possibly doing there for you and creating that drive as well, you know. Dylan's going to hate that we're talking about him so much, by the way. He's going to hate this, but he's such a big, you know, inspiration and motivator for all.
You know, he was the driving force.
Yeah. So, and then, dude, you went and did 100K. I remember you boys coming back, just sweat. Dude, it was 35 degrees that day, Marky. It was like 35 degrees. They went and did this 100K bike ride.
I still don't know how I did that, to be honest.
Dude, they're insane.
So how did these bike rides progress? Were they when you were like 18, 19 at Nando's and you guys sort of did like shorter bike rides and then you built up to the 100Ks, or was this like the second bike ride?
Yeah, so we pretty much just built up to the bike rides, and each time we built up, like we'd hit a new goal each time, and then I think it was like over 2 months, we eventually just got to 100K and we're like, fuck it.
2 months? Really?
I
I thought it was more than that.
2 or 3 months. I can't remember.
Wow. If it is, holy hell. That's crazy. Now, you guys are going hard. But that amount of time, like, that's why, you know, mentors and, I mean, I've spoken about it many times, so sorry to repeat, but like one of my inspirational phrases or a phrase that I draw from is like, be the person you needed when you were younger.
Mm.
So that's why I find that like so important, you know, because we're so lucky we had that person, and now Marky's, you know, reaping some of the benefits of having that person in his life as well, of having a little bit more kind of guidance and stuff. It's, you know, far out. I mean, you can see the results, G, because now, you know, I'm lucky enough to no longer have a 9 to 5, be a 6-figure trader. You're also a 6-figure trader, very close to no longer. And Marky, you're well on your way now, you know. So
I think, the important thing, I suppose, like with that topic around, you know, mentorships and having mentors is at some point, you know, when whether someone like sees potential in you or you reach out to ask those questions to sort of get and show your interest in wanting to learn more, once you do have that knowledge, it's kind of your own responsibility to try to find someone who you can help, which then helps you, you know, sort of remind you of why it's important to keep going down the journey you're going. Because if you're helping somebody out that's a few steps behind you or sort of starting the journey, it reminds you of where you've come from and where you're going, and to keep going down that path, I think. So, you know, once you learn more, always good to have someone who knows more than you and someone who knows a bit less than you, who you work closely with.
dude, absolutely. Couldn't agree anymore.
Definitely.
Far
And
out.
I think it's good to have like friends that are older than you as well, just because like they're a bit more
Calling me
wise.
old, G?
Dude, you're the wisest fucker I know. One of the wisest fucker I know.
The 30-year-old acts like a 22-year-old.
Marky.
That's the question. Is like, does Marky act like a youngin, or do we act like we're old?
I
Like,
think we act like we're old.
Yeah, I think.
Dude, I don't act like my friend group.
Nah, it doesn't exist anymore. Don't find the same passions. Yeah, nah, it's interesting. So what? You're 19. You start riding a bike, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. For me at that stage, like, obviously you're trusting your mentor. Your mentor's clearly wise and obviously has something very important that you want to listen to. But like, just riding the bike, would you have any adversity against like, I'm learning from, like, all I'm doing is riding a bike. What am I learning? Did you ever feel the lessons were kind of subconscious?
Yeah. When I look back, definitely.
Yeah.
It was more like he was just there to help me, like listen to me. Cause I guess at that point, like, yeah, I had a lot going on. Um, especially, at my age. I just felt like a lot was going on. I didn't really have anyone that I could open up to and shit. So I think Dylan kind of recognized that, and then the bike ride was like a force for that. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it was just ways that we could be active and just get to know each other more and yeah, communicate more and um, yeah, that's about it.
I'm always interested to know, right? So like at some point, like with a lot of us that are into investing, we kind of catch that, all right, like I want more than I currently have, and I'm going to find a way to do it, right? But
Mm.
before that, what were like some of your motivations for like doing what you're doing before you sort of met Dylan? Like I know like growing up for me, it was like games or it was just like or buying a car, I was just like, fuck, I want that Subaru WRX or whatever. That was me. But I'm
Yeah.
curious, what were you like before you sort of met Dylan? What kind of things motivated you versus how it would have sort of changed,
To be honest, man, I was lost as fuck. I was so lost. I was super lost. I got a really crap ATAR,
Yeah.
and I
What
was
did you get?
pretty. I got 46. Really crap. So yeah, throughout school and shit, I was so lazy. I wouldn't really focus on like um trying to do what I want to do, and I was just unmotivated, no drive. I think the motivating factors for me was like, I think all the boys at the house know, like I have like three older siblings that are way older than me, like 14, 12, 14 years older.
Oh shit.
So,
Yeah.
and my parents were also pretty old as well. So um, I just I had like one thing inside me that was like, I want to do what I want to do, but I also need to make them proud. And yeah, I guess before once I heard about investing, like I just realized like that, like back to our first point, that can give me the freedom to do what I want to do, and also it can also give me that comfortability that my family can be proud of.
Do you mind if we double tap in on that real quick, like the whole family narrative? Because obviously you grow up in a culture where uni is the, ideal path, and then get that job and continuously promote it. You've spoken to me a lot about that. So, like, how was it kind of starting something so not just new and unique and kind of ostracized by the majority, but specifically different to kind of the way you were brought up?
What's that again? Sorry, Doc.
So you grew up like with the culture, like the parenting of go to uni and then go to school, get a good ATAR, go to uni and get this specific job, correct? You've spoken to me about that a lot.
Yeah.
When you're first starting this journey of investing, personal development, it's kind of ostracized or very different from the majority of the world, not just that culture or not just that upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Like, how was it trying to explain to your parents and your friends at that point and your older siblings, like, I don't really know what's happening at the moment, but what I'm doing, I'm enjoying it, and I believe in the person who's teaching me, and they're going to take me far. Like, can you kind of maybe double tap for the people who are maybe going through something similar?
Dude, it was fucking hard. It was fucking hard. Um, it was, yeah, that's the honest truth. Like I had to like convince my family. We'll just keep going in circles with my family. Like I couldn't explain it myself either because I was young and stupid. So like we'll just keep going in circles. And I think my friends were pretty chill about it. Like didn't really talk to them about it, to be honest. I kind of just avoided talking to them about it. But like um yeah, my family was a really hard one because obviously, like you said, it's like I wasn't following like this path that was set by like the whole community, and I was just doing shit that was different. Like my family would tell me, "Oh, just do a course, like any course that you want to do." But I just felt like like the education path just for me, it just didn't feel like it was right. I couldn't focus on it. It did not interest me at all. I had tried for 12 years previous, so I wasn't
I feel
interested.
I feel like the writing was somewhat already on the wall for you, Chris, in the sense that like even before you met Dylan, you said your ADA was around 40 anyway. So it's just like even it's like, all right, mum and dad, I'll do the course. But then like I get shit grades again and then I don't make it through the course or I make it through the course with minimum scores. Where
Yeah,
does that sort of end anyway?
yeah, yeah. No, exactly. Um, and I did do a few courses. Like I did my diploma of IT, and then I did my diploma of health science just to like make them happy, make my parents happy. But I could deep inside that I did not like it. I could tell I just did not like it. And when I finished those diplomas, I was like, dude, fuck this shit. I'm not going back.
It's funny to me that like we kind of our lifestyle of investing, self development, trying to obtain freedom is kind of the ostracized version. Everyone wants it, but no one wants to do the work to obtain it. But them going to uni, they're essentially paying to learn something really specific where, where instead of being taught in a formal education and getting a piece of paper, we're literally just self-educating and we do more of it. Like at this point, our job is just to acquire as much information as possible about everything.
Mm.
To do a self-development business, investing, like literally everything in those topics. We try and learn as much and anything that interests us as well. It's like that seems to me a much better way to learn than to learn something formally for a piece of paper that's going to get you a job that you had to make a decision to work in for the rest of your life at the age of 18.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. And like, I think one thing with me as well, like I always used to just like follow my heart, even if my mind wasn't like saying the same thing. I could tell like inside that that's what I want to do, so I will do that. And it's hard to recognize. Like my mind will be like, dude, just fucking do a course, just do a course, follow the path and shit. But I just followed my heart, followed my gut, and I'm happy I did that. Like it's pretty much like the hard choices, easy life quote.
Yeah.
If you guys know that, hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. Um, it's pretty much that, man. Like I did the hard choices, and my life is so much better than what I thought it could be.
I think like it's an important message, like what you went through, Chrissy J, around when you're 19 or 20, often even if you have an alternative path, you feel like you have to somewhat do what your parents expect of you, because it's almost like those rules, those expectations are so heavy on you that
Yeah,
even with the alternative, you feel like you have to at least do the like diploma, or you got to kind of see what that's like, even though
yeah,
your hunches are already telling you like it's probably not for you, but you do it anyway.
yeah,
And I think a lot of young people go through uni and do it anyway, but then they end up sort of a different path, I think.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah, 100%. Dude, the funny thing is, like, even with the music, like, music, I chose it myself, but
Mm.
like from the start, I knew like it's not for me. I had that feeling, and like deep down.
Wow.
And I mean that could change, but I suppose like it's kind of, where do you want to put most of your time, and then you can still have something as a hobby, so you got something that makes you money and you throw yourself into, and then you
Yeah,
got something as a hobby which maybe can become a business or can be viable but later on, but
yeah,
at
yeah,
least that takes away the pressure of hey, I need to make this my main squeeze. I need to make this make me, like
Yeah.
more.
That's true. That's a good point. Like once I did decide to make my music like the main squeeze, the main thing, like it just kind of it was so bad. It was like fuck this shit. That was like
I'm
my
curious,
initial reaction. Just like
I'm
fuck
curious
this.
how it is now though, G. Like, what's the relationship with your parents now? Like that you're, like I've said it before, but like, you're an impressive young man. You know a hell of a lot, six-figure trader.
Yeah.
Months and months
Very
off.
handsome, grows a full beard easily. Sorry, go on.
Dress is
Once the
nice.
beard grew, man. Once the beard grew, like my life just changed.
He's got
So to the
great,
kid out there, grow a beard.
great chest hair. I mean, like he's flowing. Like, what's the relationship now? Because, dude, you're for a lot of people's kind of idea of success.
Yeah.
A few months, you're like, whenever that comes, you're stepping away from work. You're about to achieve that. Like retirement is, everyone's kind of every normal person's goal of what they want to achieve. How's it feel?
Yeah.
Kind of like, your parents know that? Do they understand it? Do they believe you? Like, what's
I think my parents are still like coming around to the idea. Like they're a lot more comfortable with what I'm doing now. Um, it did take some time. They're still like kind of like because they're still kind of like you got to do a course because like that's all they know. That's what they know. Like when the reason they came to Australia was so we could get a better education from the universities. And so I completely understand them, but it's going to take them, I think, some more time to like come around to the idea of what I'm doing, which is fine. My relationship is so much better with my parents, I think. Definitely from the way that I'm coming from it before. Like I used to like argue with them a lot, which wasn't good. I definitely don't recommend that. Like it's a long-term thing, man. It's a long-term thing. Like your parents will always be there for you and they will always care for you. It's just like how yeah, obviously when you do something new, like they're gonna be skeptical and worried. But yeah, it's normal, man.
being the youngest of four as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who? How old was the oldest sibling?
Oldest is 37.
So considerably, they're like, all these three took the right path and they're all right.
Yeah.
Why you gotta be like this, G? Why can't you just?
No, well, they're all pretty like they're all to my parents' standards, they're all very successful. Like they've got families and shit, they've got kids, they're working. But if they did take the investing path, they could be chilling as well.
That's my boy.
From them.
Dude, that's the most passive aggressive. Like,
Yeah,
why you should have
very-
invested.
they're very successful too. Obviously, I was very lucky to start this young.
Yeah.
So, so they're very successful considering the path that they took.
Yeah. Well, I think it takes Mark, you might agree with this. It takes a different person to be able to actually kind of take what someone who seems like they're talking crazy stuff to the majority and take them with a little bit of sincerity and actually kind of look into more what they're talking about. Not everyone, and there's a lot of people who have gone not through the entire of Hardcore Headstart, but they've filtered in and out because they're just not into it, not willing to put the work in, just it didn't vibe with them, they didn't understand it, they didn't take it seriously, and they've kind of moved away and they're no longer in our circle anymore. So it's like, there are a lot of people like that. So I think honestly, it's a credit to you of where you've come, and you've put a lot of hard work in, and that should be, celebrated.
Cheers, man.
Sure.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I think so. We've talked a little bit about like where you're at now, where your focus is, where you've come from.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, and maybe like I suppose a question of any sort of past failures or any sort of past mistakes that have sort of set you up for the future. Is there anything that comes to mind in terms of what you feel like you're equipped with now that you're going to use going forward?
I think we've talked about this already, failing at school.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, it's put me on the right path, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely
I
helped
think
me.
that's massive one, massive one. What else? I think there was I had a question that I wrote down here from
Where are
earlier.
these from, Marky? Let's not make it secret. Where are you from?
Yeah. So these are actually ripped off from a book called Tribe of Mentors from our friend Tim Ferriss. So he asked us a series of questions to celebrities, and I've found them quite intriguing. But yeah, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Chrissy G, is if you could have a message that you could share with the world, and you know a lot of people would see this message. For
Yeah.
example, if it was a billboard or like it was going to be shown across the Super Bowl or the Olympics, right? And it's like, from yours truly, Chrissy G, what
Yeah.
would that message say and why?
Man, that's a good question. But actually, two answers. I want two different billboards.
Oh, of course he does.
He's a greedy.
Cheeky G.
Why? Do they have anything to do with each other, or are they just two separate messages?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yes.
one would be
Which
like,
one?
one would be get the knowledge, get the knowledge, and the second one would be focus long term.
Love it, love it, and why? And what's the why behind the message?
Honestly, with the knowledge, like, I still wouldn't be where I am. Like, even you boys can say, like, you wouldn't be where you are without like the books that you've read, the discussions that you've had with people, just like without having that curiosity to learn more. So just keep learning, read the fucking books. So that's the first one. Focus long term. I used to be very impulsive. I used to like jump from thing to thing. Just focus long term. Like if you're young and you're listening to this, like you'll be okay. Just focus long term.
Yeah,
I love that one because like Jeff Bezos talks a lot about kind of looking into your future and think about yourself as an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. And it's obviously atoned to that, no regrets kind of conversation. Like
Yeah.
take the opportunity for what it is, always try and seek more. You don't want to regret anything on your deathbed, and majority of people regret things they never did instead of things they did do. So
I think that's something I'm learning, like not to do as well, like do short-term stuff, because like I think when we're young, like we're so like we have to like keep doing stuff, like
yeah,
just we have to be busy all the time, but it's not about just being busy. You have to be doing the right thing. Like
absolutely.
you can be doing like one thing each day, but there has to be the right thing for your future.
Sure.
all right, cool. So Chris, I suppose like maybe a question based around, like some like either like a question for you, a habit, a behavior, or a mindset that's changed for you over the last 5 years that has actually made a big impact on your life. Is there anything that comes to mind? Like, what sort of message would you want to give somebody that is looking to make significant change, and they're kind of just trotting along, but they kind of want to make big change?
Limit your environment and focus more on like obviously having like mentors, reading books, and watching podcasts of people that you enjoy, and like not just enjoy, sorry, but like that actually teach stuff.
So yeah, let's not be those macro guys. Let's fucking I've used it again. Let's double tap on it.
Yeah.
Limit your environment and I guess kind of consume more knowledge. Like what do you mean by limiting your environment?
So what I mean by that is like there's obviously people in your environment that are actually, yeah, true. I shouldn't say to everyone. Probably not everyone is in the same situation, but in my environment, there was like a lot of like, bad choices being made, and I was being like pressured into like a lot of stupid stuff.
Mm.
In hindsight, I should have limited hanging out with like people like that.
Yeah.
And not have taken like everything that my family was saying too seriously
Okay.
for my environment, because like I noticed at certain age, I noticed like, it wasn't helping me. It wasn't helping what I want to do in the future. So that's what I meant by limiting your environment. If anyone like has people in the environment that are like, constantly giving them bad advice, or like, not really thinking about, like, if someone's not thinking about you per se, then you don't need them in your life. If someone's just like constantly going out every weekend or something, or like, getting you to drink and shit every weekend or something, then you don't need them.
Yeah. It's like that what's that, that phrase or that quote we hear that many times on Instagram or read on Instagram. It's you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most.
Yeah.
Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Those things do matter.
Mm.
Just even just like a kind of not pushing you into doing certain things, like even just an energy kind of thing. I've noticed when I have negative people around me who are always complaining, I feel worse. My work is not as productive. I'm not as efficient. I'm not enjoying life as much.
Yeah.
Anyone who's complaining about everything, especially, it's maybe harsh because obviously there's things that are not ideal, but in a first world country, there's really not a lot to complain about. Any problems that we have, we can fix ourselves, I should say. And we have the tools to do so. We have the opportunity to do so.
Yeah.
Most problems, obviously there's exceptions,
Yeah.
but I think your message of like limit your environment to positive people and people who have similar passions to you, similar transfers in value.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially starting your journey, that's really important.
Yeah. And we're not saying like cut out the people. Like obviously, like if you grew up with your friends and shit, like don't fucking cut them out. Then they're not, it doesn't make them bad people. They're just on different parts, which is completely normal. But yeah, like you said, you summed that up perfectly. Like try find more friends that are doing like what you're interested in. And get comfortable with saying no as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Get comfortable with saying no, because if you keep saying yes to everything, then you're not going to prioritize your life. And
I suppose like on that, right, saying yes and saying no, they're kind of like decisions. And I feel you go about your day, and within your day you've got a certain bandwidth to make high quality decisions. And as you make more decisions throughout the day, they start becoming more mediocre decisions, or you make worse decisions. And in your context of the social situation of drinking and sort of going out, it's fun. It's still like, you like hanging out with those mates, but sometimes having to make a decision of, do I go out to this party, and then if I go to that party means I have to go to the next party, and that opts me into the party after, and I've got to sort of ride off the next morning. And when you make a decision and you go, look, I'll hang out with these guys, but just on my terms, right? Like I'm not going to do it based around drinking. That means you're knocking over that domino, which means you don't have to make these other decisions, because they already know that you're not going to go clubbing and drinking every weekend, because they sort of understand you've said no to that enough times that it's not your priority anymore.
Yeah.
Here's where I might differ in that, right? In that kind of, like you don't have to completely cut out your friends. Because I know, Marky, you talk about like limiting as well, and just you don't have the same passions. But for me, like I remember making the distinct decision to like just not see them anymore. Like that's it. I was like, this is not where I want to go. GG, I'm out, boys. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, definitely some people I guess would have to do that. Like if they're
maybe not a right or wrong answer. It's just kind of like
it really comes down to your personal circumstances, right? If you find that you can't get to where you need to be by limiting the reactions, then sometimes you just got to go like, hey bro, I love you, but like I just can't be around you, and like it's all right, you can go down different paths, and that's life. Like our time is finite and everyone's going to end up like in the ground at some point. So like, don't waste your time.
Well, that's the truth, man. That's the truth. Like, you're gonna die. So what do you?
Not me, boy. Not me.
I'm living to
I'm living
300.
forever, mate.
But that's one thing, dude. I had when I was younger as well. Like, I had a fucking like full crisis. I was like, dude, I'm gonna die.
Do you have
I think that was one of like,
crisis?
huh? I had a midlife crisis when I was younger.
What, at
Yeah, you had
16?
a few.
Yeah.
Dude, you
No,
got
but
a
I was
few
definitely going through a bit of a crisis. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna die. Holy shit.
And 16-year-old Chrissy G was like, someday I'm going to die. It dawned on him.
Dude, I still have that fear of like death. Death gets me. Haven't done enough mushrooms yet to deal with it, boys. Not yet, boys. It's the plan, boys. But yeah,
You should do a Mikey Tyson dog next podcast. Just fucking
just eat a handful of mushrooms. Dude, the last like, a few podcasts we had ago, when we're talking about like space travel and shit, Marky had like a filter up.
Oh yeah.
Space. I feel like my brain would actually just be space if I was on mushrooms. So like I wouldn't be able to communicate at all.
You'd be like talking to Marky, and Marky would be like a planet.
All right. Should we sort of wrap up this podcast? Any sort of final words or takeaways you'd like to leave the listeners?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Hopefully everyone enjoyed me being on the podcast.
Thanks for coming on. I love getting your story out there because you are pretty much the epitome of what Hardcore Headstart means. So from where you started to where you are now and where you believe you are eventually going to go, you know, you're the reason we do all of this. You're a really, really good representation of what Hardcore Headstart lifestyle is. Your story is inspirational to a lot of people. So we need to get it out there more. And thanks for coming on. And it's a little bit more formal of an ending that we've ever had. Hey, Marky.
Yeah, that's right. You can never start too young, you know. I'm 30 and you got 2 babies here, so.
Hey, he's not wrong. He's Papa. He's Papa. Papi.
Papa Melbourne.
No, but thank you for having me on, boys. I really appreciate it. And obviously I love the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.